Randall Collier-Ford is a dark ambient producer from Eugene, Oregon, who has been active since 2012. In that same year, he released his first album, Dark Corners, as well as a slew of albums from his other projects, Black Sun, The Temple of Algolagnia, Mors Universa, and Grey Light Shade. Also, all dark ambient and drone-related projects, some of which had dominant Luciferian occult themes within them. The bulk of the albums from these projects surfaced in 2012 and were mostly digital releases through labels like Calpamantra, Somber Sonics, and Glossolalia Records. Within a short amount of time, the other projects dissolved and only Randall's music under his own name remained. Randall's music is of the cinematic dark ambient sort, and naturally comparisons can be made to other artists in this style, but I find that Randall packs a good deal of variety into his music. His music has often had a mechanical, dystopian, post-apocalyptic atmosphere while intermingling piano bits, subtle beats, industrial noises, field recordings, jazz sections, and very soundtrackish vibes. A true sound artist and world builder if there ever was one. From 2012 to 2014, he released 6 full-length albums on the Calpamantra net label before finding a home with Cryo Chamber in 2015 and releasing his 7th album, The Architects. Remnants followed in late 2015 and Promethean in 2017, both which were also released on the Cryo Chamber label and met with huge success. Randall has also contributed to several of the H.P. Lovecraft Cryo Chamber collaborations, and also the Locus Arcadia collab with Flowers for Body Snatchers, God Body Disconnect, and Council of Nine. Since Promethean, Randall has been focused on his new album, Advent, while releasing various EPs, singles, compilations, and a split as digital self-releases through his own Bandcamp site. Now that we're all caught up, that brings us to November of 2020, when Randall's new album, Advent, was released on the Cryo Chamber record label. Advent, by most accounts, has a lot to do with the coming of Christ in Christianity, but I have a feeling this album has very little to do with Christ, and this is the coming of a much greater and powerful being than Jesus Christ. Indeed, over the course of Randall's many albums, he has slowly been building up a world not too dissimilar to something H.P. Lovecraft created, and I know it's a huge influence for him, and through each album he tells a little bit more of the tale, and finally on Advent we finally see this coming of something much different, something bigger, greater, and we finally get a look at the beast, or whatever it is that seems to be getting summoned through this massive album. It's important to note right from the get-go that Advent took no less than 3 years to complete with all the music and the visuals, and it's quite a massive packaging. I'll show that later on, of course, but this is by far, I think, one of the most elaborate and well thought out packages from Cryo Chamber so far to date. The packaging really reflects just a great deal of depth and thought put into just a story Randall's trying to tell, and it's just a really really expansive package. It just once again promotes the idea that you should definitely be buying physical media and not just simply listening to stuff on YouTube or digital downloads or whatever. It really exemplifies the idea that you should be buying physical media because it gives you a little bit more. It gives you more of the story, more depth, and a lot more character to what you're about to hear. Advent has a very ritualistic sound, and it's kind of important to note right from the get-go here that Cryo Chamber hasn't had a lot of ritualistic dark ambient records on the label. I mean, other than Paleo Wolf, nothing much else really comes to mind immediately. And so it's good that they're starting to get more of this on the label, because I feel like it's a really cool style that just offers so much atmosphere and just a lot to for the listener to really take in. And Advent is an album that is just oozing with ritualistic vibes and just dark, foreboding atmosphere. And it's a really, just right from the get-go, this is a really massive, massive album. The album kicks off with Beckoning Absurd Shapes, a nearly 20-minute song that offers quite a bit throughout its duration. The song starts out rather harmlessly in a somewhat typical dark ambient drone style. Before long, that ritualistic atmosphere just starts to pour on you. It's almost as if wherever you're listening to the album is sort of slowly darkening and filling up with smoke. It's really something, and shortly into the song, you start to hear these sort of obscure, I guess I would say, chanting sort of vocals, spoken passages. I mean, perhaps this is the sound of something being summoned into this world. It's hard to say. But it's really cool. It just really enhances the atmosphere. And I found that this was, right from the get-go, this was a record that really sounds good via headphones, a good pair of headphones, of course, rather than on a stereo. Because I found that when first time I listened to it, I just listened to it on a stereo, and then I listened to it on headphones. It really opened up a lot more of the deeper details of this album, and that was really cool to just kind of hear all that stuff. So as the song progresses, you start to hear what appears to be like a violin or some sort of stringed instrument. It's very somber and just really, it's a neoclassical, vibe for sure here, and it's, again, really dark and just really menacing kind of vibe going on here as the song slowly progresses. Later on in the track, you start to hear what appears to be some sort of distant sounds, more ritualistic instruments perhaps, and it's just a really massive song that just keeps going and going, and very immersive, very deep. And I think if you read the text that goes along with the song in the book, that it really helps helps you on the journey to really take the song in and fully grasp what Randall was trying to convey with this track. The second song, Eyes of the Temple, features Jim from Northumbria. Eyes of the Temple is a somewhat more, I guess, just kind of straightforward dark ambient song. It, at least for this particular song, it does away with the ritualistic vibes, I feel like, and it just has a really dark, just really ominous, dark feeling to the song. It's a fantastic dark ambient song, but it definitely does away with the more cinematic vibes that you kind of expect from Randall and the Cryo Chamber roster in general. It's just a very basic dark ambient song, but not a bad thing at all, because it's absolutely fantastic. Just a very brooding, just very foggy and just great dark atmosphere track basically. And but like I said, pretty straightforward, not really cinematic, but that's building up to the final track, of course. We then come to the third song, which is called The Second Wound, and it picks right up where the previous song left off. So continuing forward, we are treated to more dark, haunting ambience when eventually a sort of gothic piano comes into play here, and this is when the song really starts slowly building up to something much more menacing and really, really haunting, dark, and ritualistic in its character. After the gothic sounding piano comes to its conclusion, eventually a militant and tribalish sort of drum beat comes into play, and this is presumably the cultists playing some sort of beat or ritualistic drums to summon the creature into this world. And it's very effective while the dark droning ambience is pushed behind this, and it really pushes that ritualistic vibe even further. It's really powerful stuff, and I love it. It's awesome, and of course it's always kind of rare to see drums in dark ambient music, and Randall pulled it off just marvelously here. Presumably, as this song continues on, this is the sound of the cultists, the people that believe in this being this creature's coming into this world, or whatever the world Randall's trying to create through his music, and it's very powerful stuff, and it's just an awesome track. It's just totally just epic in its delivery, awesome stuff. And then we get to the fourth track, which wait, there isn't a fourth track on this album, and that's kind of the thing that is frustrating about this album. When Advent is all said and done, it's just 39 minutes long, and it really leaves you hanging there wanting more. I feel like Randall was approaching this from a very cinematic and film perspective, where it's like the second one is basically like the cliffhanger at the end of the season. Hold on, stop, wait a few months or years, until you get the answer to what happens next. And while that is obviously very good story building, it really, really left me hanging for more. And at just 39 minutes, it feels kind of short for a dark ambient album. But fortunately, what is in this album is quite effective, quite massive, and really great stuff. There's not really a bad thing I can say about any of the 3 songs on this album. But at just 39 minutes, it really, really leaves you wanting more, and you can't really get that, and that kind of sucks. Well, as I mentioned earlier, the packaging for Advent is quite amazing, so let's take a look at that. So on the front cover, we have what appears to be some sort of, I guess, like demonic altar, and just really cool, just skulls and tendrils and sort of a sigil, and just really cool ritualistic stuff. It just really fits the mood of this album quite well. And then in the back, we have the sigil once again, and of course the 3 tracks on the album. And on the inside of the digipack, we have some recording information, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but all of the artwork and layout was created by a man named Sarel Reina, and Randall has worked with him in the past, and with great results, of course, too. And he handled all the visuals for this album along with Simon Heath helping with the layout, and it's quite awesome. And then as we open up the digipack more, we will see that the CD is over here. Again, more sigils on there. And there's another panel underneath the digipack you can check out. And then perhaps the most interesting thing about this is the massive, and I mean freaking massive booklet that comes with this album. So let's check that out. And they did not make it easy to get out of here at all. So massive. So on the front cover we have more sigils and ritualistic, just crazy cool looking stuff. I love it. In the back we have, I think, what's something of the, I guess, Randall's sigil perhaps too here. And then the front booklet. Very, very cool visuals from Cyril Rana. And there's text to accompany each track, but it should be noted that there is no real, like, spoken passages or anything like that in the album. This is just sort of like to accompany you on the journey, so to speak. It's sort of a short story to go with the album to help you understand it better, I think. All those grim-ass skulls are very fucking cool. No doubt about it, this is by far one of the most massive booklets I have seen for a dark ambient release. Possibly one of the biggest ones for Cryo Chamber so far too. I'm gonna say probably, yeah, it is. One last page. Yes, very, very cool stuff from Randall Collier-Ford and Cyril Rana and Cryo Chamber in general here. Just quite a massive album, and again, it just I always say this, but it pays to collect CDs and pay a little extra for the CD because you get so much. I mean, this CD, for example, it just helps you to further explain or further understand the story that Randall's trying to tell, and the accompanying text just really takes you deeper into this world, this narrative, and this special, just dark, foreboding place that he's trying to create through his music. So when all is said and done, Advent is quite the album. It just, as I said, it really leaves you longing for more, and it's just not there, and it's just so it's like a punch in the guts, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just sit there, waiting for air, and you're just gasping, and just not the damn thing you can do about it. But hopefully more is on the way. Hopefully he won't make us wait another 3 years for more music and, the continuation of the story, which I'm very curious to see. Well, that's about all I have to say about Advent and Randall Collier-Ford. If you get a chance, definitely check it out. It's an awesome album. As always, I have to thank you for joining me here in the Inner Sanctum. I will see you next time.